Oh my God, have you changed? You've really changed. You're just not the same person. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Stay tuned. 7 a.m. Hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. John Henry Soto here. It is April 20th, 2021. Um, wow. Had a really adventurous day yesterday. I actually ran around with the kids in the park, and now my legs and my arms are killing me. we uh we had a really nice gathering of some of the homeschooling mothers and the children. They were running amok, and we decided to let's play some basketball with them, and so we ended up throwing the ball around and playing for a little bit, and I'm feeling it actually, which is kind of sad actually that I've gotten to the point where playing basketball with my children makes my body sore. So I need to work out. I did work out actually, and it's a combination of both. I work, So anyway, but had a really nice time at the park yesterday. Got a little chilly afterwards, but it was a lot of fun. And the homeschooling moms are really just such nice people, and the whole program that we're involved in is really a blessing to be able to find something so close to home. Um, and it's been a lot of fun to learning more about homeschooling and the process of that. And I am going to do eventually a show, a morning show, just on a couple of the of, of questions that people ask. The most obvious question is like, well, how do they get their socialization? So I'm going to talk all about that because it's actually quite the opposite, from school to from regular school to a homeschooling when it comes to socialization. I'm going to go over that, but not today. Today we are going to discuss this thing about changing, and not necessarily us changing as individuals, right? Because we have the right to change, right? It is one of the greatest abilities that we have as spiritual beings in these bodies, is the ability to change your mind, change your viewpoints, change ideas, and it's totally fine. Now society kind of sometimes frowns upon people that are changing consistent and be the same and just stay and be straightforward and consistent or stable, right? That's the goal. And I find it completely the opposite. You should need to be changing. You need to be moving. You need to be creating more adventures for yourself. I mean, once it's done, it's done. Are you doing things that you don't like? Well, if you are, you got to find a way to stop doing that, and start. And not to say that you have to give up your job or quit your income or anything. You should continue to do that, but you should start planning on other things, right? And that's changing, right? That's changing. You're changing. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. It's not the actual thing of changing. It's the outsiders in your world, your environment, your sphere of influence of friends that expect you to be a certain way all the time. And that is where friendships are lost, acquaintances drift that could have been more, drift away. And that's because people will, and I've received this many times. As a matter of fact, I was having lunch with a friend who was proposing something to me, some project of some sort that I was really not interested in getting involved in. And sometimes you have to be able to shield your emotions of how you're feeling, and you have to tell people, you know what, I'm really not interested in that right now. I'm kind of involved in so many things. um, but I didn't have that in me that day. I was really just not and generally I'm in a pretty good mood. I would say 99% of the time, I'm actually in a pretty good mood. But that 1% was not really a bad mood, but I was just not interested in sitting down and hearing something that I really had no passion behind. So I remember having this conversation with him and kind of going back and forth on his idea. And I decided to take a different approach to it. I decided to change my approach, right? And instead of being like acknowledging and being like, oh, yeah, okay, all right, no, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Instead of going that route, I decided to throw questions at the person, at, and just throw um, conflicting things that he was saying, not in a negative way, but just say like, well, how would you pay for this, or well, what time frame would you have to have in order to get that done? And as I was doing that, I think he realized there was a shift. I was decided to change, and I think he saw the shift himself. And he says to me, he goes, "Wow, you really changed." you know and I remember I took a little offense to that at the beginning when he first said it. I thought to myself, and I was like, no, I was almost defending myself. No, I haven't changed. I'm the same person I was forever in a trillion years. But you know st- slowly after that, I started thinking, after he said that, I started saying, and I said, and then I went back and I said, you know what, I kind of have changed. You know what I mean? I'm looking at things differently. Projects are investments, time investments. Even if there's no initial income involved that I have to put up, there's still time, and time is really valuable to me, right? I have kids and I have a wife, and I have my artistic side and film and music and stuff that I want to accomplish, that I want to still work towards. So time is really valuable. So if I have 18 hours a day, which that's usually my time is about 18 hours a day when I'm awake, and that's when I'm kind of getting things done, right? I don't have the 8-hour shift, and then maybe a 45-minute commute. I don't have that chunk of time. So I have to fill up all the time. Now, there is a big portion there where I have my children, right? And this is just a little bit about how I operate, right? So I have my children during the mornings. My wife is teaching. Either, she was teaching virtually. Now she's back in school, but the kids aren't there, so she's still teaching virtually in school. And don't get me started on that whole thing. But it was just an interesting. Hey, Mary, you made it. Thank you. I got your message. I was like, it's at 7 a.m. But thank you for being here. I appreciate it. So so my days are very, very structured, as far as, okay, I want to get this done. And I don't know the time of when I'm doing stuff, but I have a list of things that I want to get done on that day. Like yesterday, I had a bunch of things on my list. I got all of them done. Even taking the kids to the park was on my list because I had that scheduled, right? I knew I had to get back at a certain time. I knew I had to make dinner. I knew I had to figure out other things at home. So in between, I put those things in. And so time is valuable. So I remember when he said, you've changed, and I took a little offense to it, but then I backpedaled and I thought to myself, yeah, I have changed. I'm a different person. I've worked a lot more on different projects now. I know what it takes, to the effort, the amount of effort needed to push in one direction on certain things, certain projects. um and I'm not willing to just be, because I'm capable of doing that, I become a valuable person for someone to have. But I want to be matched up with someone who's actually equally as capable of accomplishing things, right? And pushing projects forward and coming up with ideas and calling people, and having a network of people that, all those things is much better when you have a team of people that have not equal, but at least they all have their strong points, right? And I didn't feel that I was going into a relationship, a working relationship, that had that on both ends. And that's when I decided to make that shift, that change. So again, he says this comment, and I was trying to defend myself. I backpedaled later on, and I said, "Yeah, I have changed. I am different. I'm a different human being now than I was, whatever it was, years actually that we've known each other." Um, I had the same conversation, not the same conversation. It was a different conversation, the same energy. Somebody called me up. They had an idea for a show. They wanted to pitch to me and see if I wanted to get involved with the show or it would be one of the, whatever one of the spearhead the show with him. And so he gave me the pitch over the phone, and I remember just immediately I knew that was not something that I wanted to do. So I started posing a lot of questions. Again, very friendly, but I want to make sure, how is this going to be done? How is that going to be done? How is that going to be done? And he was like, he was stumbling. He couldn't answer certain questions that you need to have. And this is probably the biggest change that I've made in my probably recently too. I think during the whole pandemic, I've had a little bit more build on this. I've built up more skill, more understanding of projects, right? And I've been able to look at a project and know what are the logistics behind getting that project done, not necessarily what I can do in the project, but I want to know what other people can do on the project. I want to see, what is this team going to be consist of? What are you going to be responsible for, and what am I going to be responsible for? I don't want to be responsible for all this other stuff, and you're just responsible for coming up with the ideas. I had another situation where this very nice young lady with a filmmaker friend came to me with a film idea. um, I'm thinking in my mind that he's a filmmaker and she's an actress, and he's going to make a film, and they want me to be involved in some capacity. I don't know if he was a director or not, but we never got that far. But they came to me with the idea, and I knew as soon as I had this conversation, I was having this conversation within about 20 minutes, I knew this was not going to be a thing, because there was a large amounts of money, of possible money that could be available. When people say possible money, that means that they have a something that uh, um, an idea to gain money for projects and stuff. Which I always say, first see what the budget is, what you have in house, how much money you have in house that you can start this project with. Now, maybe there's more coming in, and maybe this amount of money, if you build this amount of money, and you start working with what you have, that creates interest in other money, right? And then people will be like, "Oh, they're really doing it. Let me invest a little bit in this," and then you can gain more money. But if you have absolutely nothing, then you're not really at a point to start discussing the project. But the moment when I really knew that I was not going to get involved in this project was when the person said, um, "Oh, I don't know anything about that. I'm just throwing ideas out. I'm just the idea person. I do the ideas, and then you guys do it." And as soon as I heard that, I was like, I'm out. I'm definitely 100% not interested in that. I have ideas. I don't need people for ideas, right? I could sit here all day. Matter of fact, you go through my book right here, nothing but full of ideas, right? So I don't need that kind of help. Um, and so again, the conversation came up. So I was like, you changed. You used to be more open to stuff like that, um, and that becomes a little bit of a frustrating thing to hear constantly. But then at the same time, I was thinking about it. And that's the reason why I wanted to put this show together, was because I just said to myself, I have changed, and let me address that. And I plan to change further. I plan to be. I think I'm a little bit more tougher businessman, not a mean businessman, but a little bit more shrewd on um, on gathering money and using money to make money and that kind of a deal. And I have been doing that. Um, I don't see how you do it. I would go bonkers. I really commend you. Thank you very much, Mary. I appreciate that. Mary says this, which I really appreciate. Um, and you're an amazing friend as well. I appreciate you so much. Thank you, Mary. I appreciate you very much as well. Thank you, everybody who's listening in. Um, but it's a matter of confront. You say, I've heard that a lot of times too. People say, I don't know how you do it, and I look at my day sometimes and I'm thinking, like, I haven't done that much, but it's just I've gotten to the point where I'm so used to movement and doing things. And I like doing it, so it's not like I can burn out. You can't burn out doing something that you love to do, right? I love hanging out with my kids. I love the homeschooling. I love, doing my work. I love doing this show. I have the other show on Tuesday nights. I'm doing some other shows with the other thing. I got two films, some music stuff I'm doing. I got all this stuff that I love. Is not making me feel like I'm burnt out, right? Because I love to do it. But the whole changing thing, you know, that is something that you really have to, and a couple of things that you need to do when you start hearing people. It's two important things that you have to really address when you start hearing people saying to you that you've changed. Number one, it's okay. Say to yourself, you're right, I have changed, and you can tell the person, you know what, I have changed. It's okay. I'm a different person now. I'm grown as an individual. I have more experiences under my belt. I know the do's and the don'ts of certain things. Yes, you're right. I have changed. Um, the second thing that you have to really realize is that you're on the right track. You're on the right track. You need to continue on that track and don't let anyone try to sway you or try to bring you back to where the way you were or try to make you feel wrong for thinking a certain way. Don't let that happen because your true power lies within your ability to change your mind and to grow as an individual. You cannot grow in the shadows of someone. You need to get out and be out into the sunlight and be out and change your mind and be free of these things in order to grow. So many people tie themselves up to others that bring them down and don't allow them to grow because they're afraid of change. Change is one of the most precious things that we have, that we can get up in the morning and say, you know what, I was thinking of this morning, I was going to have eggs, but I changed my mind. I'm making pancakes. This ability is not a bad thing. Or you start a job and within like a month in the job, you're like, man, I hate this job. I thought I would love it, but I really hate it. What are you going to do? Just spend your rest of your life in that job because you don't want to seem like someone who's a quitter? That has nothing to do with it. You don't like it. You changed your mind. You thought you were going to like it, and now you don't. It's okay. You can change your mind. It's 100% okay. All right. And if anybody tells you no, you just send them my email, tell them, here, contact this guy and let him actually tell you why it's okay. And I will give them a piece of my mind. Um, and so let's reiterate a little bit. Let's, or summarize, I should say. Um, when you do have someone in your environment that is consistently the same or who makes you feel wrong for changing your mind, for being, for wanting to grow as a person, right? I mean, that is pretty much what we're doing with when we change our minds, right? It is we want to be different. I remember taking a job once, speaking of jobs that you don't like. I worked in the health club industry for a little bit, and I wanted to get out of there because the manager that I was dealing with was just not a good, just not a bad person, but not a good manager. And I don't like to be involved in situations like that. I felt that I was being made wrong for certain things that they were responsible for, and I didn't feel that thing. So I gave notice, which shocked the her and management. So I got called up by management, by upper management, and they said, you know what? Why don't you come to the corporate office and work with us in the corporate office, handling members' accounts, membership accounts, and stuff like that. And I thought, oh, that'd be kind of nice working in the corporate office, and being part of the corporation world. And that's when I was a little delusional, like I thought I wanted that. Again, I didn't change my mind when I should have long ago. I should have just not done that. But anyway, I got to that point. This is why I'm talking about it now, right? Because I don't want people to make these mistakes that I made, right? So I remember I spent 2 weeks at this job. And that second week, after I got some training, I walked into my cubicle. I had a cubicle, and they said, you could decorate it any way you want. You're here in the corner, so you can. And I remember looking out the window and thinking I could spend 25 years to 30 years in this job um, like some of the people I met who were at that job for that long. I remember I put my bag down and I just stared at my space. Now this was before I didn't have any wife, I didn't have any kids, right? So I was pretty free to do this, and I grabbed my bag and I went upstairs to the boss and I said, I can't work here. And I remember she looked at me. Her name was Pam, very nice lady, and she's like, "What's the matter, John?" And I was like, I can't work here. I have things that I want to get done, and this is going to take time away from that, and I just have to make a decision now, rather than getting stuck and being an employee that's not going to be good for you. I just can't work here. And she was like, I understand. I was like, do you want to leave now or do you want to give notice? And you can stay for 2 weeks if you want. So I had to make that decision, and I decided just out of courtesy to the company, let me stay for the 2 weeks. Of course, I left there, and they called me back and gave me another club that I can manage. So I was like, all right. So I stayed at that job, and I enjoyed that. I stayed there because I did enjoy the working with people, managing a club and staff. Working in the health club, I do like staying fit. I like working out. I like being trim, somewhat trim. I got a little bit of a COVID fat during the last year, but it's actually coming down now, and I've been working out. But I enjoyed that industry. But at the same time, I wasn't afraid to change my mind and to decide in 2 weeks to do something else. And because of it, I got a job that I really loved, and I actually was enjoying myself, and I was meeting a lot of people. As a matter of fact, I was able to play music more because it was closer to places that I was rehearsing and also closer to clubs that I was playing. So it turned out to be a great place, and it was closer to home. I mean, it was a win-win-win situation. Because I decided to stick to my guns and I changed my mind, and I didn't care what anybody said. That's the big thing. And we spoke about this in a show about a week ago, where I talked about caring about other people's opinion and letting that destroy your life. Well, this is where that comes in too, right? Because when you change your mind, you're going to get certain people that are going to say, like, oh, this guy is such a snowflake. He's flaky. He wants to do this, then he wants to do that. He wants to do this. I don't even know what he's doing. And those are people that are consistently dull, consistently stuck in the same routine. They don't want change. They don't like change, and they will not be very successful. They will be semi successful in that area, but that is as far as they'll go, especially if they're judging other people by saying that they shouldn't change their mind. People can be happy and have successful jobs and successful lives doing something they love, but allowing others to be and to grant them that beingness, to be who they are, and to have them change their mind and be like, wow, you know what? He was going to work there, but I guess he changed his mind. That's pretty cool. Good for you. Go do it. I'm happy where I am, right? And that's a good attitude to have. But anything else, you have to stay away from. So, again, I've talked about this in the past. Audit your environment. See who's around you that is bringing you down or making you not want to change your mind, and then go after it and take the leap and change your mind. It's the only way. Happiness is on the other side of that. I guarantee it. I promise you. All right. All right, folks. Want to thank you. Mary says one should be open for change. Let me flash this up here. One should be open for change, but only for the better, to better yourself, family, and to make yourself happy. Do it because it fulfills your self being. What a great way to end the show, Mary. Thank you very much. That's exactly what the whole show was about. I appreciate you for joining in, and everyone else. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Make today great. Do the things that you love and take care of yourselves. And I will see you all tomorrow morning. And as always, peace.